And this has to do with the Handshake team seeking a powerful prime minister. Now, this is the top story on the Standard. We're being told Handshake team seeks powerful PM. Power shift in proposal similar to the Bombers draft Building Bridges Initiative team says PM will be head of government while one-term president will be head of state. And it further tells us that the president shall appoint and may dismiss the cabinet, including the prime minister, deputy prime ministers and ministers. And the PM shall be appointed by the National Assembly, being the leader of the largest political party or coalition of parties. Then we're also further being told that the cabinet shall consist of the prime minister, the deputy prime minister, and not fewer than 15 and not more than 20 other ministers. Now, I would like to know what my panel feels about this story. It's the top story on the Standard. Mr. Weda, what do you feel about it?
Hey, let me tell you, part of our problem is not whether we don't have a prime minister. I think those who don't have food in Baringo, it's not because we don't have a prime minister, a powerful one or not.
Yes.
Those who have problems in West Pokot and all this, it is not. I really don't think in 2017, when my president and my deputy president were going round, one of the plates on the table was prime minister or deputy prime minister. This is how leaders lose the way. Then they bring voodoo politics like this.
Okay.
Then they say, now what we are serving is called handshake. What we are serving is called referendum. What we are serving is called prime minister. The country today has not faced a problem of 20 cabinet secretaries or 6 of them or powerful president or one-term president or 3-term president. The country is having issues with basic management. And I'm still urging my president, Mr. President, my president, my president, my president, this kind of going round in the name of handshake and so on is not what we need. You bring this in the referendum, some of us will stand up so much that you may end up being another president who came up with a referendum, and that referendum failed. The issues, the challenges we have today are about growth, are about affordable quality healthcare. We are about just basic food. Basic. Now we're still struggling with, do we import maize? Do our silos are full? Our silos are empty? Those are our basic problems. Now, I don't know why these people have come up with this. I feel very mad when I see this. A lot of money is being taken around by this shadowy group called building bridges. Okay, bridges are broken, but let's do basics first. Let's see how we treat our people, having cancer, having all these things. Then let's feed them. Let's deal with jiggers. You find somebody, I remember my friend Kangata one time, a beautiful little girl died just because there was no medicine for rabies. That's rabies. Simple. Now when they leave that people die, and then they come and tell us, oh, we want powerful prime minister. I say, God, where are you? Please come down quickly and deal with this guy.
Right. Do you agree? Yeah.
I think first of all, this Building Bridges initiative, or whether they are banning bridges, I don't know, but they must be reminded of something. They have only been around for a year, right?
Yes.
They must remember that the constitution-making process of our current constitution was the most consultative constitution-making process in the world.
Yes, yes.
Not in Africa, in the world. They went to every location in Kenya. In each location, there was men, women, and youth representing that location. There is an audio available up to today at the National Archives of what was said at every place. So what they should, for someone to think that in 1 year they can do better than that particular consultative process, first is misinformed. That's number one. Number two, this reminds me of between 1997 and the year 2000, when President Moi was serving his last term. What he then did, because there was a lot of worry as to whether he wanted to extend his term or whether he was going to leave. But at some point, he made it clear to the country in 1999 that I shall step down after my term ends in the year 2000. What he then did, that did not stop him, and I see this being replicated. That did not stop President Moi from attempting to control the elections and who will be in power post his time.
Do you think this is what's happening?
And this is what is happening because, you know, history is very interesting. It's exactly the same thing. What did President Moi do? He did one thing. He then entered into an alliance with NDP, Raila Odinga's NDP at that time. And it was the first coalition in the history of Kenya. That happened at that time. He then made Raila Odinga the Minister of Energy. Soon thereafter, he had Mark Too step down and then nominated Uhuru Kenyatta, now our president, who was then 35 years old, and made him the Minister of Local Government. He then soon after then presented the young Uhuru to be the one to succeed him and to be the KANU candidate.
So are we preparing?
And eventually, what eventually happened is there were walkouts. Saitoti walked out, and eventually Raila Odinga walked out because he was then made, I think he became the Deputy General Secretary of KANU because they wound up NDP soon after and joined KANU. So this type of politics is something that has happened. Look at every tenure. I can almost trace it. So I see this, and remember, and then again this did happen between the year 2000 and 2007, when President Kibaki was president. Remember, he said within 100 days, I will change the constitution. Within 100 days, he wasn't able to do it, but then there was a lot of pressure on him, which was actually his biggest mistake that he made. And then eventually we had the Bombers draft, which he then decided, because the Bombers draft was propagating for a powerful, a less powerful president, but a powerful premier. But then when he became president, as some of his supporters then said, is that, oh, you know, we only wanted a less powerful president because Moi was the president. But now that we are in power, I think we are okay with it. They soon immediately started seeking for, now that's how we came up with the Wako draft. The Wako draft then pushed for a diluted prime minister and a powerful president. That is how the politics was run through them. It is how the 2005 referendum failed. It was actually a vote against Kibaki, and the politics dominated that, running up to 2007, and then of course you know what happened in 2007. So this is history repeating itself.
Senator, do you believe that this is more political rather than a necessity for the country?
Well, allow me first to answer as to whether some of these proposals are good. Some of them are good, some of them are negative. Let me start with the positive aspect. I think we must always come up with a solution to the problem of ethnically divided politics. And for me, I think the current constitution is not fit for an ethnically divided society. There is a way you design a constitution to fit such kind of society. Either you introduce what we call a constitutional democracy, which is basically a government that is represented with as many ethnic groups as possible. And I would imagine this is the idea behind some of these proposals. Or the other alternative is what you create what is called a centripetal system, which is you come up with electoral rules that tend to reward moderate politics. So for me, this constitution does not measure up to either of those standards. And to that extent, I support BBI efforts to ensure we have a constitution that appreciates our ethnically divided politics. But on the other hand, I disagree with some of their proposals completely. For instance, they are proposing creation of 14 regional governments. You are going to make government become more bloated. They will be so expensive to run. You will see those leaders of those governments doing what generally other politicians tend to do, which is insist on more bodyguards, more staff, more better packs, and therefore you create an irrational and bloated government. And to me, that's a very negative proposal. And most importantly, even from looking from an ethnically divided society,